Pickacard. How do you disturb their peace? Here are your options, and I'll see what you're reading.
Okay.
Hi friends, my name is Griselle with Toughdolltarot, and I'm here to do your reading. Pile number 1, you chose this lovely image on the right hand side of the screen, and your downloads go as follows. How do you disturb their peace? Now, the first thing I got for you is that they can't stop thinking about you. You're engraved in their brain. And I'm going to say, because of the picture, for obvious reasons. I did get some smexy, some obvious, this is what I'm thinking, about you, that you're incredibly attractive, alluring. They can't get their mind off of you. Maybe you might have some clothing that kind of imitates the clothing that a girl has on the image. Maybe perhaps you have the hose that she's wearing. I think they're really super cute, by the way. Or some pants that mimic that. But also, I noticed that she was showing the sole of her shoe. And I thought that was kind of interesting because maybe perhaps part of it is that they're infatuated with your soul. And something about your soul comes across as like stirring things up. Maybe some tower moments and stuff for other people. But let's see what else we got. Can't stop thinking about you. They're obsessed, and you completely unbothered. While they focus on you, you focus on you too. I thought that was funny, but maybe not. Let's see. Your spa days, massages, new makeup, clothing, whatever it is you have going on that you really like to decompress with, have fun with, and things like that. I feel like that's what really gets under their skin. It's not necessarily the hustle culture, if you're involved in that, but it's more your downtime. You appear to never pause or look back, or look up for that matter. You're hard to impress. They're big mad because you keep progressing, and they feel erased and left behind. And then I got, of course, the Smex appeal again. So pile number 1, if this is you, or if this sounds interesting, go ahead and join me for the shuffle and your subsequent reading in 3, 2, 1. Welcome, welcome. If you are new to my channel, I hope that you find something that is helpful or refreshing. Funny word considering the topic. And for those of you guys that are indeed my repeat offenders, I am super grateful to have you here. Thank you guys so very much. I'm super intrigued. So how do you disturb their peace? Pile number 1, you have inner work, deep connections, and soul tribe. With the number 38, with the pack. And you also have apprentice with the number 4, higher education, beliefs, and wisdom. With this big old great moon in the background. So first of all, I'm going to say that, again, it really doesn't reflect on your outer hustle culture, things like that, but it is enjoying like the fruits and the rewards of your labor. So this could be inherited blessings or things that you have gone after in life, but it's really, I think, the stillness and the happiness that you get out of being able to pursue what it is that you like or love. It could be some form of hobby. It could indeed be like you could be a shadow worker with a pack right here. I feel like you could be, I'm hearing leader at the pack, right? So with wolves, they're pack animals. And this person is like hugging one of the wolves and has been accepted. And I feel like with the inner work and deep connection, I feel like unbeknownst to you, maybe perhaps you could have started a soul tribe. Maybe it could have been a journey of one where you've done a lot of inner work, a lot of shadow work. Maybe you've done a lot of therapy and things like that. And this has like formed and shaped you and helped you get out of, I heard, get out of the hustle culture. I mean, that could be one reason why you went to therapy, perhaps. Maybe you went to therapy and you worked out with your therapist or someone, right? That you were overworking in order to prove that you were worthy and things like that. And you came out on the other side. And now it's perfectly okay for you to take breaks, take a rest, no matter what people think about it. That's kind of their own problem. And this could really get under people's skin, and that's partially how you disturb their peace. But another part to that is that I feel like people have followed you down this quote rabbit hole, or this lifestyle, or this mental change, this attitude of embracing what is really good for you instead of what people think about you and trying to perform, right? We're always trying to outperform ourselves or other people, and at some point it's good to just really stop and pause, and it's okay to smell the roses. So I feel like maybe perhaps people that have not gotten out of that mindset, or the mindset of always having to be in their masculine power of running and chasing things and getting things and hunting and bringing it home and things like that, it's really difficult for them because they feel like they cannot decompress, and so therefore why should you, right? So pile number one, how do you disturb their peace? With the apprentice, it seems like, yeah, with the higher education, the wisdom, the beliefs, you could be somebody who is heavily involved in spiritual community, and this could definitely get under people's skin. I understand this quite well. I feel like her hair is standing out right here for sure. And of course, that big old moon behind her head. But I feel like you have really invested years in yourself and in growth and self-development and things like that. And that you've utilized a number of tools. And I feel like maybe perhaps for the first time in a long time, or maybe first time ever, you are kind of decompressing and coming off that hustle culture wheel, or really simply that you're enjoying your life, or at least that's what it seems like to other people, onlookers, right? And that's what disturbs our peace, is that you're willing to learn, you're willing to change and grow, as well as seemingly you're willing to be a role model of sorts to other people. And the fact that other people are jumping on that bandwagon and saying, yeah, actually, you're right about that. I do think that that gets under their skin. Now, one thing that's being brought to my mind is the biblical story of the prodigal son, right? And I know a lot of people are not Christian and, or, you know, haven't read the Bible, that's fine. But the moral of the story is that, you know, the other son was doing all the things and did all the things right. And the father was like, yep, that's, you know, that's my son. But then you had this one son that kind of did whatever, you know, squandered the family money and got involved in all it. Modern day would probably be like looking like the one that just left home and never wrote, abandoned family and never connected again. And then had different offspring by different, you know, people in their lives, and then all of a sudden came to their senses and came back and started putting law and order into their life, you know, and returned back to family and connectivity and things like that. So that's what that would look like in the modern day. But I feel like in a lot of ways that story could be in some ways you, where people feel like that would be you would have been the prodigal son, where you kind of went and did whatever. And then you have these like, quote, loyal people around the parental unit saying, well, I've been there the whole time. Where have you been? You know, and then the parental units are like, well, you know, my son has come back. Should I not be overjoyed? And I'm horribly paraphrasing this, but I think you get the gist. And so, you know, there's a big old feast prepared for that person. And I feel like it's that's a way about you, is that people really celebrate you, and it seemingly is easy for you. Now, I feel like this is part of their disturbing their demons, disturbing their peace. Also, I feel like if this is a partner, somebody that a romantic interest and things like that, I feel like they miss that connectivity, that mindset of we're like a unit, we're together, we're not going anywhere kind of a thing, no man left behind. They miss that comfort of you maybe holding on fiercely to them or giving them fierce comfort, and now they have to give it to themselves, or they're partnered with somebody who really could care less and expects that to be given to them. So 8, 9, 10, 11. So 15, I had to count on my fingers, guys. So 15, yeah, a lot of changes they've seen in you, by the way. What else do we have here? How do you disturb their peace? This one flew out, and of course it did flip over, and I just felt the need to take it. The number 44. So yeah, you're a very deep thinker, and I feel like it's almost like I'm hearing blood, sweat, tears, mind, body, soul, that kind of a thing, that you have really revamped everything and you address all the things. Now, this little fairy, this little creature looks, I don't know, some would say bored. Let's just get in there, right? I don't know if they look bored. I just feel like to me, they look tired because of her wings. But you have all of these stars out here, and I feel like you don't lose perspective, and your mind is constantly changing and evolving and growing and thinking, how can I, really improve this area of my life, or what can I do next? And it's always a constant state of evolution. So if people have looked away from your life for 3 months, 6 months, 6 years, whatever, I feel like you're vastly different from the person that they left behind or that they once knew, that sort of thing. And I feel like it's also making people feel like they're less than, for sure. Okay. You're in some way, some shape, in some form, you are a high level achiever. And this doesn't have to be, again, outward performance. It could be like revamping of your life, the way you think, the way you Rubik's Cube things and piece things together, the way that you level things out if they're not right for you, and you try it again. So you're not one to give up. Your tenacity is surpassed by none, okay? And I feel like you really disturb their peace because people are easy to give up. They give up on themselves. We give up on ourselves. We give up on each other. We give up and give in to the status quo, to what we see around us. And it's really difficult sometimes to get out of that hamster wheel. So I feel like that is part of it. Also, I feel like you disturb their peace because of your connection. I feel like this mother connection, connectivity to the feminine spirit, to the divine feminine. And so this could be your intuition, the way that you take care of people, the way that you nurture, right? And so I feel like this is really powerful in people's lives, and you disturb their peace because once that light is gone, that nurturing is gone, that safety, that caretaking is gone, they're left all of a sudden to their own devices and having to fulfill that very role in other people's lives, almost like as if you were an example, and then you were a breeze and you were gone. So that could be for people, that are no longer in your life, obviously. Now, for people that are currently there, this disturbs their peace still in a similar manner. But it would be how you have this ability to form tribes within any place that you go to, whether it be work or friend group and things like that, and that people feel genuinely nurtured and cared for, and deeply connected and deeply safe amongst things that they don't really understand. Because the background I'm being led to look at is really dark, and the background here, of course, is that really beautiful, rich, gorgeous moon. And the contrast here and the polarity of it is like really obvious. So I feel like you bring out the polarity in other people so that they can really face things that maybe perhaps frighten them, scare them, or that they don't really quite comprehend, or simply that they've never explored before. And that could be quite disrupting for other people, especially people that don't want to do the work. So what else do we have? Pile number 1. You have deep knowing. Yeah. Something to do with your knowledge, with your connection to spirit, with all the stars right here. I definitely feel like you are a wise soul, especially with the owl. Yeah. And I feel like you're somebody who might not be super verbose. You might not be like, hey, I'm really super wise and I'm doing this stuff. No, you just kind of lead by example. You could definitely be an overthink. You can get caught up in your head. I know my brain's like that. But definitely this is something that gets under people's skin because they never know what you're thinking, how you're thinking, or how things are going to change. And it makes people feel uncomfortable in their own stagnancy is what I'm hearing. What else do we have? New life. Yeah. So people are really disturbed at the fact that you have an ability to create a brand new life. Also that you are building on pillars that you don't need a lot really in order to make things grow, to stretch your wings, I'm hearing. And in a lot of ways, I feel like people might pedestal you, even though you might not be somebody who does that to yourself. But the fact that you can think outside the box and you think differently, and I'm hearing the word affluent. So maybe affluence is naturally attracted or drawn to you, or you are affluent by nature, right? Or your mindset is affluent, and people don't really understand that. The sun is changing here, so we're having a improvise with lighting once again. So pile number one, if you're liking these kind of readings, if you're resonating, do take a moment to like, share, comment, subscribe if you would like to. Also, if you'd like to see more of my videos, don't forget to click that little notification bell so you can be notified when I drop further readings. So you have the Two of Cups. Yeah, people really feel connected with you. They feel driven to kind of bond with you. I feel like it could be a very instantaneous thing also. Now, each little bear, panda bear, has one cup, and this makes me feel like the Ace of Cups, almost like if you have any trade or even a workplace, you really develop close connection to your clients, and it can be like an instant bond. It's almost like you're able to see right through. You're able to rescue and connect in whatever manner they need, in order to create that bond so that you can progress forward in business or whatever. And I don't necessarily mean that you are doing it deliberately, but I feel like you disturb their peace, people maybe at work or people that you collaborate with and things like that, because you have this ability to be celebrated for the way and manner that you connect. That is really unlike other people. It's beyond superficial, because the Ace of Cups is really a connection of like mind, body, heart, and soul. Like we think similar, wear the same cloth, and it's very deep. It's not superficial. And when you put them together, it's this deep connectivity, right? So yeah, that could irritate some demons for sure. Pile number one, your last card. Oh my gosh, you must really irritate them. That's funny. You have the 10 of Cups right here. 10 of Cups is all about happy wife, happy life. It's about emotional gratification. I'm excited. I feel very safe. I feel loyalty. I feel like we can talk about things in a manner that really helps my soul to grow. And it's really beautiful. It feels like, yeah, it goes back to tribe, to be a unit, a family unit, sense of togetherness, a sense of maybe regardless of what people go through in their difficult times, that you are going to be a part of that some way, somehow, even if they've just met you, or even if you have transactional relationships, such as like work, and it's your work has, you see people like once a year, or you were in the hospital and it's the worst time of their lives. But the thing is that they never forget you, and you disturb people's peace because they never forget you. They feel like in retrospect they should have kept you in their lives, or they should have worked harder, or they should have worked in similar fashion. Also, I'm hearing I'm half the man I used to be, that song. I'm half the man I used to be. So for whatever reason, I'm hearing you completely. You complete me. And I don't like words and phrases like that, because it really talks about a dependency on another person to be a whole person. I don't really believe that at all. I feel like that's more codependency and Hollywood mindset, but whatever. I think that this is more thoughts that they have. It's like, you complete me. No, they complete them. And that's partially why you disturb their peace, because they see you thriving, maybe perhaps by yourself or with your own willpower, and you don't feel like, you don't seem to need anyone. Now, we all need somebody, right? But not that dependency of like, oh my gosh, if I can't have you, if I'm not that attached, what's going to happen? No, I need my other unit, my other half, my twin flame. All those things I really understand. I understand that longing, that desire, and the need to identify with. But I guess my point is that we need to work on ourselves in as much as possible in order not to have the mindset of like, I need someone in my life. It's more like, I want someone in my life. There's my thought. Anyways, let me know what you guys think. Did you resonate with this? What thoughts that you have? Did you see something I did not? Put that in the comments below. Otherwise, much, much love to you. Until next time, namaste.
Okay.
friends, my name is Griselle with Toughdolltarot, and I'm here to do your reading. Pile number 2, you chose this lovely image on the right hand side of the screen, and your downloads go as follows. How do you disturb their peace? Pile number 2, you have clarity and you never over explain yourself, or at least that's the perception. You have deep connections to your ancestors. You could be clairaudient. You could be a late bloomer. You could have a panache for playing with the kid things. And for some reason I was seeing, and it's not slime. It's not the slime that was, I don't know, a long time ago, like Nickelodeon thing, but it's a different kind of thing that was texturally intriguing to me anyways. But I forget what it's called. If you guys know what it's called, let me know. But the closest my brain can come to was the slime, but it's not. Anyways, you could play with things such as like kinetic sand, fidget spinners, Legos, coloring books. You could have a Hello Kitty collection, or a candy-themed cubicle or a kitchen. Anything like that that would appear something drawing from like nostalgia or childhood, okay? So whatever that would mean to you, if you're like a Batman collector or, you know, or Star Trek or something fun, more like in the 5th house type of thing. Anyways, you make everything look chic or swanky. You could sing or rap, freestyle lyrics, DJ, or you can play an instrument. So those are your downloads. If this is you, or if this sounds intriguing, join me for the shuffle and your subsequent reading in 3, 2, 1. Welcome to my channel. Pile number 2. If you're new here, I hope that you find something that is helpful or interesting. And for those of you guys who are indeed my repeat offenders, I'm so grateful to have you here. Thank you so much. Pile number 2, you have ambition, willpower, and creation. I have some powerful people on here, you guys. With the number 18 and sorcerer. And you have serpent with the number 32, rebirth, unconventionality, and non-conformity. So I have to say right off the bat, let's just bring these in because we can. Pile number 2, I definitely feel like you could have been drawn to pile number 1. Maybe you're coming from that pile. If not, that's fine. No worries. But I definitely feel like people, you disturb their peace because you could be somebody who really creates something out of nothing. It's almost like you could be a bone caster, you could be a taxidermist, somebody who literally works with animals, or you could work with the other side. Actually, when I was shuffling too, I kept getting like medium, so you could be a medium as well. But I feel like you really transform people's thoughts and ideas about the other side, about what it's like to be someone that connects with the other side. Maybe perhaps even like you disturb their peace because maybe you work with things that people consider it scary or bad or evil. And during their course with you, whatever that means, could be work, or you know, you're thrown in a circumstance or a project or whatever, and they get to know you and they start like learning things that they never thought they would have learned, or you pique their interest in a way that their brain has no choice but to kind of work things out for themselves. And that's a point of, in the long run, I feel like Spirit's point of view of you guys ultimately being in the same vicinity. Whether this is romantic, non-romantic, work, familial, doesn't matter. Now, with the serpent right here, I definitely feel like you've had so many changes. It's like death and rebirth. It's the phoenix rising from the ashes, right? After it gets destroyed, it comes back more powerful and stronger than ever. And you have that unconventionality and not nonconformity, which I feel like people take as to be audacious, like the audacity pile number 2. How dare they, sort of thing. So you could definitely be a tradition breaker, not one to toe the line. You could be somebody that is, yeah, I feel like you could be like tarot readers, energy workers, energy readers. Somebody here works with the sacred flame. Is it Saint Germain, sacred flame, purple flame? I'm not sure. But I feel like you disturb people's peace because I feel like they have to really look deep within and maybe even look at their idea of like life and death in that cycle. And especially in the West, we don't like to look at that whatsoever. We run from it. But I know that, you know, other societies and things like that have different philosophies, how it's like very natural. It is a cycle of life. It's a part of, you know, participating in this life form. And a lot of people have ideas and philosophies that, you know, there's an afterlife and so on. So I think that people have to really, when they're around you, they tend to question a lot about why you believe the things you do, and it sends them down the rabbit hole. Some of you guys can make jewelry with bones and things like that. So I follow some people on Instagram because it's fascinating to me, but I digress. So pile number 2, how do you disturb their peace? Yeah. Also, I'm getting like questions about their loved ones and what transpired and how they're doing, where they're at, because I feel like for the normies, I don't know why I'm calling it that way, but you disturb their peace, the people around you, because questions like this come up, like, well, what happened to my loved one? You know, when I lost my, I don't know, whatever, a few years ago, and you mean to say that they're in the spirit realm or this or that, and so it prompts questions like that. Number 444 on camera right now could mean something to you. So what is this? Building blocks. Okay, camera. I wish I was like an octopus, or I had many arms, because then I can do lots of things. I'm doing a balancing act holding this, but anyways, here we are. Building blocks. So yeah, this is about like how you build, and people I think have a question about your Tetris mentality. Like, how do you Rubik's Cube things? How do you come to these conclusions? How do you piecemeal things together with the 8, 9, 10 with the 2 right here, and the 2, you chose number 2 as well. I definitely feel like there is an element of learning your own equilibrium, and people get really disturbed. You disturb their peace because you have this sense of balance about you, in the sense of like, you know, I'm kind of living life one step at a time. The minute I lift up my foot to put it forward, I know that a cobblestone or a concrete something or a road comes underneath my foot, even if there's nothing there to begin with. So I feel like the ability that you have to move forward in spite of seeing things with the tangible eye or the logical mind, air quotes, does really get under people's skin, simply because they have to have everything kind of laid out and perfect, and like they have no faith is what I'm hearing. They have no faith, no belief in anything, or at least minimal belief in things that are unseen. And my question always is to people like this, like, well then how do you know you even have a feeling? You can't prove it. How do you know that you love your wife, your husband, your mate, your whatever partner, or your children? Or how do you know that you hate this person? Or how do you know that, you know, you don't, because you can't prove it? Well, therefore it doesn't even exist. So, I don't know. But that's my thinking. So I feel like people could really get irritated by this side of you. But it goes really deep. Yeah. And I feel like it goes down to the foundation of whom they are. Pile number 2. If you are liking these kind of readings, if you could take a moment to like, share, comment, subscribe, I would be ever so grateful. Also, yes, I do read your guys' comments. I like to take my time to answer, because I don't want to rush and not really read or think things through. So I am taking more time in order to do that. But yeah, and I have read where someone said that the pictures in the intro go too fast and things like that. And while I respect that, you know, the thumbnail is there for all to view. And I just feel like if the vibe isn't right, that's okay. It's not for you, respectfully. So, yeah, keep in mind that these are free and general readings. We do not, this is not like a paid private reading. So there's that. Pile number 2, how do you disturb their peace? Yep. Fork in the road. Maybe perhaps you're somebody that illuminates the fact that they have come to a fork in the road. Maybe perhaps these are chapters that people don't want to admit to that are over with. It could be relationships. It could be jobs. It could be situationships. It could be maybe career. But I feel like you appear in people's lives right when they need to make a decision or they're about to come across a fork in the road. I'll get closer here. Look at this monkey. Crack me up. Oh, and there's an owl here. Yeah, so it seems to me like a lot of times you could get, you could disturb their peace simply because they want to deny that something's changed or changing or needs to be changed, aka fork in the road. Somebody here works with, I can't say the name, Hecate. So you could be a worker, work with that deity. The number 13 reminds me of like the death card and the tarot card as well. So yeah, endings. And I feel like people don't really want to admit that a situation is ended or that it's no longer viable the way it is and that something needs to change. And they do have options and choices. They want to say, well, no, we're in it to win it and we've been locked down in this marriage for 25 years. That's great. But if the truth be known, there is a fork on the road. And so there has to be decisions to be made. And this llama is it a llama? Kind of llama? I don't know. This mythical creature that I know not what it's called is almost saying, okay, we got to pick and then you can get on and it's going to be a little bit of a long haul. So let's go. Make it a thing. But yeah, people have to pick and they have to really decide. I feel like it gets magnified that that chapter of their life is closed for whatever reason. And I'm going to say that maybe you're the one who speaks the obvious and they could accuse you of like speaking things into existence. Like everything was great. My job was great until you came along. And then you started talking like this and putting things in my head, the number 10 right now on camera. And so, yeah, it's just like endings and very new beginnings. So I definitely feel this from you. And with all the mist and the fog back there, I feel like, yeah, people can meet this with a lot of fear. But again, you bring this like transmutation of it is natural. It is a cycle. What part of that don't you get to understand? And everything has like a renewal point. And it's not that every connection has to like die or whatever, but every connection definitely does have to transform. There's no way it can be, a connection that you have with your significant other that you have the same glint in your eye. Now, clarifying this for those of you that want to jump in the comments and say it's identical from the first day we were married or whatever, great. It's not, because you've experienced a lot of things and you have different expectations now and you have different things that you admire. It's no longer like, oh my gosh, I hung the moon and the stars. While you respect and you have that elevated, it's a more mature thing. So I don't know. Here we go, I digress. So yeah, people come to fork in the road shortly after they meet you, I feel like, or during the same time frame. What else do you have? A changes in the wind, what I tell you. I'm not gonna, go more into that, but you have like tower moments, or you quote, bring tower moments into people's lives. Now, you help them to really elevate their thinking and the way that they look at things, the way that they have built, because we have like the tower here and then building blocks here. I feel like it's like, well, is this tower really built on the right ground? Is it built from the right material? Is it the right shape, right structure, all the things? And so I feel like people get forced to really do some introspection on that. And then they have to reconstruct from there on. And nobody wants to tear down a house and rebuild it, at least not most people. If that's your business, you might really be overjoyed by it, but I can't imagine that would be a lot of fun. Maybe demolition would be fun, but the rest of it, I don't know. Anyways, how do you disturb their peace? The Hierophant, your connection to spirituality, to spirit, the way that you transmute things, the way that you walked a long way, you've experienced a long journey. And I feel like also when you speak, pile number 2, you're so connected to spirit that it's almost like you rip the lids off of people's heads. That was violent and graphic, but I feel, metaphorically, guys, I feel like people look at you and go, well, get out of my head. And they could literally kind of turn around and scrutinize you. Like, I had a coworker yesterday and we were talking and I was like, oh, I felt really nauseous. I'm like, what is this? And she's like, yeah, I've been feeling nauseous too. And then I said something else, I can't remember what it was, but she was experiencing the exact same thing. And no, we didn't have the same lunch or anything, but it was obviously downloads that I was getting that they're not my feelings. And so it is very difficult to sometimes decipher your feelings from theirs if you're an empath or if you're like myself, where, you know, I need to be really careful and more aware. But I feel like that could disturb their peace because it's like, get out of my head. I invite you here. And you're like, I don't want to be here. I don't want to experience your nausea and whatever other symptoms you're having. Thank you very much. Keep that to yourself. But it could be things like that where people get puzzled, frightened, freaked out. And also I feel like they get angry. So you could be somebody who people get angry with. And I don't think that they're aware of like why, but you could have people lash out at you almost like this. Bear here just appears incredibly upset. And it's like, you know what, knock it off, that kind of a thing. And it could be a jolt to both of you. So you could have people get snappy. Just so odd. Oh my gosh. And the High Priestess, stop. Look at my cards, not at my nails that need to be redone. The Hierophant and High Priestess. Look at how beautiful she is. Aww. That is so sweet. So yeah, I feel like there's this element of you bringing forward all of, I mean, I don't know, all the ethers, all the elements. And with the High Priestess, it's like holding secrets and she who knows. And you have the ability to penetrate other people's secrets and they don't like it. That's partially what this is that you disturb their peace because even innocently, you could be like, let's say, I mean, that's a horrible example, Grisel. Think of a different one. Let's say, I don't know, somebody is like in their household, they're vegetarian and then they go to work and they're like, oh my gosh, you know, my husband won't cook anything but vegetarian and I really need whatever. And they go off their diet really because it's imposed by somebody at home and they don't have the same belief system, or they're trying to adhere themselves something that doesn't work for them or good for their philosophies in their bodies, or vice versa. So it could be something like that. And I feel like you could be someone that really brings this out and goes, wow, that's really interesting. And so having you talk to your spouse about it, yeah, but they would never, and it's been like 10 years and you know, I just go off and 3 times a month I kind of have my own indulgence and we don't speak on it and they don't know or whatever. And you're kind of like, that's an imbalance. Kind of weird. But that can get under people's skin as well. It's like, you know things. Also, pile number 2, I feel like you know a lot. Not only do you know things, but you know, if you know what I'm talking about. And based on this, I feel like people do get frightened, which makes them kind of want to put up barriers with you. They feel offended, easily offended. And I also feel like you can say things and channel things quite accidentally. And it takes people by surprise. So that is what I have for you. Let me know what you guys think about this reading. Did you resonate? Did you not? Did you see something I didn't see? So much love to you. Until next time, namaste. Hi friends, my name is Grisel with Toughdolltarot, and I'm here to do your reading. Pile number 3, you chose this lovely image on the right-hand side of the screen, and your downloads go as follows. How do you disturb their peace? We're looking at platonic, romantic, it doesn't make a difference, familial, professional, all the things. Your stare makes people squirm. People feel like even if they try to hide things, they feel like you already know. You guys, these downloads are actually very connected to the other piles. I don't know, some of you guys are watching them all, and thank you. If not, that's fine too. People feel like you could be telepathic or claircognizant. You don't allow people to have false narratives, not about you, but even scarier, not about them. Yeah. People can't lie and get away with it as far as like who they are. I feel like you're quick to remind them, actually, that's not really quite true. Remember when we went to theater and you hid your eyes during this part and you were all squeamish and refused to look at the screen? You know, that's actually who you are, not what you're saying right now. So that definitely gets under people's skin. People also wonder how much you know. And what do you do with that knowledge? Now, for a small portion of you guys also, I feel like people get riveted on you because of this knowledge. And it's interesting to me because I feel like you don't even speak half of what you know regarding people or what you observe. I feel like you keep things to yourself. And it's not in order to weaponize. It's like you're just somebody who observes. And should they happen to ask a question, you have this ability to connect the dots or to really identify cycles in people and things like that, or patterns, I guess is what I would say. So I feel like that disturbs their peace. Pile number 3, if this is you or if this sounds intriguing, go ahead and join me for the shuffle and your subsequent reading in 3, 2, 1. Welcome, welcome. If you are new here, I hope that you find something that is helpful or interesting. And for those of you guys that are indeed my repeat offenders, I'm so grateful to have you here. Pile number 3, how do you disturb their peace? You have wholeness, integration, repressed emotions with shadow, the number 37. And you have ascension, transformation, end of cycles, and beginnings. Yeah, wow, that's so beautiful. Again, very in line. All the readings feel to me very in line. So you disturb their peace because you bring out their shadow, first of all. I'm going to say that. I feel like it's very obvious that there's like 2 minds here. If you look, let's get closer in spite of the sun doing its thing here, sunning. There's like 2 heads right here, 2 faces. So yeah, and that makes sense because when you're talking about shadow work, you know, it's things that we don't really want to face about ourselves, our reactions or our propensity to do things or our own cycles or, you know, a number of things. And I feel like you've done a lot of shadow work, or maybe perhaps you talk about it. And this irritates other people. It disturbs their peace because we all want to think that we're like perfect. We don't do anything, da 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 da. And I get it. Yeah, me too. But fact of the matter is that, you know, I don't even know what perfect is. And so facing your shadow side is very important to you. And I feel like some people can lose their heads over it. They can lose their mind over it. I also feel like this sparks fear in other people that they don't want to even discuss. You could inadvertently talk about the things that you're going through or patterns that you've noticed. Perhaps let's use an example like familial patterns and things. And you're like, yeah, I just noticed that like in my family, we had, you know, handed down generationally like a spirit of poverty or a spirit of, you know, conformity or a spirit of tradition that everybody did this. Everybody was like the car salesman. Everybody sold insurance. Everybody was a business owner or has some kind of they were a merchant or whatever. And I followed in those footsteps because I thought that that's what life had for me. But really, it wasn't my desire. I never really thought about it. I took it for granted, things like that. And so, and you discussing or sharing maybe even openly or not so openly, I don't know what's going on in your life. Keep in mind, these are general readings. So they're not made to have every single message for you, even within the piles, right? You're going to take what applies, if anything, and leave the rest. And that's perfectly fine. But I feel like people lose their minds because they start thinking and comparing, you know what? I have some familial cycles. I picked, you know, the same parental unit that was abusive, or I picked as a partner, and then now I'm in business with somebody who is the same. And and they start thinking, well, why do I keep picking the same caliber, the same fabric? Why do I keep attracting? And then they start thinking, you know, what about vibrationally? Am I vibrationally attracting those things? And I'm being led to think in my mind's eye, not to think about them, but I mean, let us see, it's like a shark when they sense vibration in the water. And, you know, the more that you kind of tussle against the water and freak out and agitate the water, the more they realize that something's really there and it might be really tasty and they might go for you, type of thing. I don't know. Don't come for me if you guys love sharks, and I'm traumatized. So it's just an example, okay? But basically, you know, it's the difference between that and then making an attempt to calmly move away. I don't know how this would work. In my case, it would never work. I would be shark food immediately. But anyways, it's two different mindsets, right? And so the shark can sense the patterns of the water and things like that. So that was probably a poor example, but I think you get the gist. Yeah. And so I'm going to say, can we move this light? No, apparently not. Okay, cool. I love doing this. But yeah, it's your level of ascension. It's like every time that you face your shadow work, and I feel like you're growing and evolving and changing, and you're like, wow, but this, okay, this is coming up in my life. Let me address this. This has been really difficult, challenging. I don't like it. Whether it's you're attracting the same caliber kind of a person that doesn't really work for you, that you don't want. I feel like it's for a reason. And you show people, you know what, this is what I learned, and I kept making these mistakes, and vibrationally, this is where I'm at. So I have to change it. And I feel like with that glow up, show up, and that tenacity to work on your own character, the things that you do, right? That has really helped to really grow you. You've grown in so many different ways and faced yourself in the mirror. And that really inspires and disturbs their peace all at once, I feel. So the element of you disturbing their peace, I feel like, is ultimately meant for them to feel inspired. That's the meaning behind it from Spirit's perspective. Not that we would necessarily pick that and think, let me put myself in a position where I agitate other people or disturb their peace and things like that so that they can grow. I'm like, yeah, no, we're not teachers of life directly, like wanting to anyways, but I feel like as a byproduct, you could be that person with your with your ascension, maybe attention as well. With your attention to your shadow work, I feel like maybe you have ascended quite a bit. You've grown. I feel like you've left behind versions of yourself, like the 2.0 and so on, and you keep glowing up. And it's like, just when people think, wow, you know, well, you think they'd be happy. It's not about that. It's about like growth and a mindset of not having that atrophy is a word that I'm getting. And so every time people turn around, you are definitely growing up, showing up for yourself, and transforming and transmuting. I feel like you worked really, really hard and diligently, as the butterfly is actually a very tough little animal, insect. I don't know what you want to call it, but you know, it has to really push, strain against that little chrysalis cocoon thing in order to get out there. And if they fail to do so, then they're, you know, going to die within. And if somebody helps them out of it and tries to open it for them, they're not going to be strong enough to be able to fly and things like that, or at least not as strong as they could be if they fight through it. So you are a fighter. You're somebody who fights through things, and that diligence, that tenacity, that like, okay, I'm going to get it done, that determination, that unwavering focus, that stare, right? You have the ability to stare into people's souls. And I feel like even the discussions that you have, you're like, well, what about this? And you could just say 2 words and look, and people get really uncomfortable. And they're like, how the hell do you know? You know, and again, I feel like you're somebody that you don't show your cards to just everybody, and there's no need to. Even if you're a medium, and we all know, those of us that are gifted, that channel and things like that, we know that we get messages from other people, and sometimes it is very obvious that they're not your own thoughts or ideas or emotions, and it's easy to deal with. Other times not so clear. But I feel like people around you are skittish and freaked out a bit by, and also fascinated. But it disturbs their peace because they can't always just like, I feel like people don't really let down their guard 100%. Not that you're going to come for them or hurt them, but they feel a little bit weary, like, well, what do you do with that information? What do you need to know? And it's like, well, I don't need to know. Like, trust me, the last thing I want to know is more about anything else around me. It's a lot. 8:08 on camera just now, so you could have kind of a funny sense of humor like that. But anyways, people don't really understand like how that comes to you, and so it makes them nervous, right? And plus, it's a call to action. I'm being led to look at someone setting up like a Yelp page or a business page somewhere online, and it's like, what's your call to action? And so I feel like you prompt this deep within people's souls, right? And that's how their peace gets disturbed, is they can't like really let down their guard or rest fully because they're afraid. And this is like people that are hiding stuff, you know. And I don't know, I guess I'm hesitant to say that because, you know, everybody's entitled to their own privacy, but I do feel like you really disturb people in their peace, especially if they're hiding something big. Now, if they've done something really bad in the past, or if they cheated, or like if they've stolen and it's like monumental stuff, definitely their spirits can be disturbed around you, because they might not know initially, but they also know, yeah, the end of a cycle, the ability to identify things, and that they have to change it, they have to clean it up, they have to elevate and ascend, because where they're at and how they're at is not okay for them. And that's why they feel really disturbed. It's nothing about you ultimately, but it's about them feeling exposed by you, which is really interesting to me. Two different mindsets I get, but here we are. Pile number 3. How do you disturb their peace? Serendipity. Wow. Yeah, you have this ability. It's a childlike quality to really kind of reach for things, reach for the stars, or look and go, oh my gosh, look, I was just thinking about that today, and that's in sync with what I was feeling, or this, that, and the other. And it's almost like everything is magical. Now, another example I'm being led to share with you is yesterday I kept looking outside, like I went to work, and then we have these beautiful windows, which I seldom look out of because my head is cranked to my computer and work. I'm a little bit of a workaholic, if you can't tell. Unfortunately, it's not healthy, so that's not, you know, with a measure of pride at all. I think it's not healthy. But anyways, I digress. So I happen to look out the window, and we work next to, anyways, this place, I'm not going to say. But it was really beautiful because all of these like little things were flowing, and I wound up seeing that they're actually dandelions, you know, the part that you blow from the little wish dandelion, and all the seeds were kind of like everywhere. And I know you guys were like, ew, no, gross, because of allergies and things, but it was magical. It's kind of like being in the middle of a snow globe. And that happens a lot where I'm at, actually. Well, not a lot, but this time, you know, during summer, and the wind is blowing, and we get a lot of that, and it's just like pure magic. And I feel like that gets under people's skin. It disturbs their peace because in spite of everything, you still are very optimistic, very childlike quality. And the other time it happens, by the way, is during, you know, when it snows. So I think it's super cool. It could feel literally like you're in a snow globe and somebody shook us, and everything's, you know, gently flowing around us. It's beautiful. How do you disturb their peace? Yeah, but that quality, that like, because you're getting intently under people's skin, and then you're like, oh my gosh, look at the snow globe effect outside, and people are like, rawr. You have soulmates. Okay. Yes, you do. So this ability that you have to look beyond, to really understand people's soul, I feel like people love it and hate it all at once, because they can definitely point out like things and patterns, but also people feel really, really seen by you. And so what disturbs people's peace is that they feel ultimately seen by you, and then they feel, I heard hooked, they get hooked. So they feel like they are a soulmate of sorts. They feel very comforted. And penguins, it is said that they mate for life, kind of a thing that they offer, like a pebble. I need to find a penguin boyfriend. Bring me a rock, please. So they bring a pebble, right? And then the girl decides, she's like, hey, that's a cool pebble. And then that's it. They're together. So I feel like a lot of people emotionally get drawn to you, and you disturb their peace because in spite of themselves, they feel like you are a soulmate. It doesn't have to be romantic, although I feel like a lot of them are. But yeah, with the number 41 reduces to 5, and that's a lot of change, fluctuation, doing shadow work, ascending. I said that really funny, but here we are. So yeah, it's all those things that really draw people to you. And at once, it's like you compel and you repel all in the same moment. It's like a cycle. Yeah, something about cycles, something about patterns, something about how you see things. You're very magnetic, and yet if you flip the magnets, you can push each other apart, sort of a thing. So I feel like depending on how you flip, metaphorically, don't get a dirty mind on me here. Depending on how you flip, you can kind of compel or repel people. But I don't think that you do things deliberately, maybe once in a while. I don't know. But I feel like you disturb their peace. Again, yeah, you have their head on a platter almost, because they don't even know which way they're coming or going, and yet they're drawn to you. It's almost like, yeah, like a moth to a flame. It's like that moth wants to see the light. They want to be the light. They want to embody the light. They want to get into the light, and all of a sudden, pop, they cross over. That was dark, but I think you know what I'm talking about. It's like the big pop. If a moth went to a flame and it wasn't encased in something like a lantern, they're gonna get burned, and they're gonna explode, I guess. Not implode, I don't know. You get the gist. So yeah, here we go. Unfinished symphony. People could feel like they have an unfinished symphony with you. Yeah, something about music, something about being riveted. And there's an imprint of your face everywhere they go, right? It's almost like your magical qualities linger long after you're gone, type of a thing. And with the number 10, you could have had endings, but people feel like, no, it's not over till I say it's over. Some people really actually want to possess you. That's not good. Like in a controlling manner, you know? But I'm going to say that you could be very free-spirited. You could travel a lot. You could listen to something that other people definitely cannot hear. You could have had a lot of endings, but I feel like those people never, ever forget you. Even if you work with somebody for like a week or two, or let's say your cousins were visiting and they brought along a friend, and some way, somehow you impacted their friend to the point where they're always going to ask, hey, how's your cousin doing? That sort of a thing, right? So I don't know, you linger long in people's minds. Also, people affiliate you a lot with music. You can have like a musical tonality about your voice, or like in some societies, they actually say, like, I feel like, I don't know, I could be wrong, but I think Indonesia, or somewhere in Asia and things like that, they have, a lot of people have a way of like singing their words, not speaking them. That's for somebody. So how do you disturb their peace? Maybe your singing disturbs their peace. Maybe you're a singer or a songwriter or something like that. I don't know. Opera? All right. So pile number 3, if you're enjoying these kind of readings, please do give me a like, share, comment, subscribe. I have no idea if I already said that. I'm crunching time here. 4 of Cups. Okay, you have 4 of Cups. What? I knew that 10 of Cups was going to come out again. So the 4 of Cups with the 10 of Cups. Yeah, I feel like you leave people long after you leave. You disturb their peace because they can't forget the good times they had with you. They can't forget the flowers that you gave them, the solid words, the way that you raised up their vibe, the way that you celebrated with them. Maybe you'd go out for drinks, happy hour, things like that. Maybe you went out to eat, drink, and be merry with these people, and they were really impacted, right? And it could be lovers. I hear lovers from far past loves, things like that, or familial, or friendships, or work. But regardless, they really think about the times where they really felt emotional and like an emotional completeness with you. They felt like it was fun to be with you, that you can cause a ruckus wherever you would go, and that you have that childlike quality that maybe even you would go somewhere, let's say you would go to like a bar, and then you're like, piggyback ride, and instead of them picking you up, you would pick them up, or something funny like that. I don't know. But you could have like an offbeat sense of humor like that, that people really, it gets under their skin because maybe it is no more, or you guys aren't in the same vicinity, you're no longer talking, or they chose different partners, or they were never partnered with you, but they remember that time where it's like, wow, I wonder what it would be like to be partnered with pile number 3. That was so much fun. That would be fun, whatever. So people can really fantasize a lot about you. They could have this idea that like you are an actual soul mate, instead of like really understanding and observing that it's more about dynamics, and that you came for a season and a reason and not necessarily to stay, kind of a thing. Yeah, so I feel like people really try to work out why they can't let go of their thought of you, and that really disturbs their peace. So that is what I have. Let me know what you think. Does this relate? Did it resonate? Do you have any other ideas about it? That's all I have. Much love. Until next time. Namaste.